It's the middle of 1940, and Churchill is there in the bunker. He doesn't know what to do. Britain's on its last legs. He calls up President Roosevelt. As you see, by the way, in The Greatest Hour, the film The Greatest Hour won lots of Oscars. And he says, "Can you help me?" And he quotes the Ruth, the book of Ruth, that says, "Your people are my people, and we'll be together and I'll help you." How sweet, how lovely. What a lovely nation. Very moral, the Americans. And the problem is a total load of crap, because actually what happened was America said, "We're not giving you anything. We want all your gold." And Churchill had given all the gold by then. There was no gold left. So Roosevelt said, "Come over and we'll work out a deal." He went over, and Churchill said, "Can you please help us? Literally, we're fighting. We're the only ones. You're not fighting. We're the only ones in this war fighting the Nazis. The Soviets were in bed with them. They were actually supplying them with wheat and oil. Please, please, we're begging." And America said, "We don't care. What we want you to do is, you have one big asset here. It's called American Viscose Corporation. Does all the radio and all the plastics. Essentially, it was a new material, actually game changing. You own that. A British company owns that, not the British government. The British company owns that. It's valued at about $100 million at the time. So now it'd be like probably $100 billion, right? 100 million then, 100 billion now. We want you to basically sell it." They're like, "What do you mean? We can't sell it. It's a private owner company. Sell it and then we can discuss." So Britain went. It forced the British company, under war laws, emergency war laws, to sell American Viscose Corporation for, it's $100 million company, 90, 80, for $50 million, half the price. Forced fire sale to the Americans. Now again, Britain didn't get a single penny. America didn't get a single penny. They go, "Okay, we can see we've destroyed you. You are on your last legs. Right, now we're going to really take it to you. You want 50 destroyers? We're going to give you 50 old World War I destroyers in our scrapyard. Useless. Basically useless, other than like being a scarecrow. That's basically all they're good for. We're going to give them to you, but we want," one second, "we want over 70 places in the British Empire, 99-year naval leases for 50 old they're in the scrapyards, 50 old scrapyard destroyers." And Churchill signed it. He was desperate. Mate, when you're desperate, you'll sign anything. He signed it. 99-year leases on a range of places in Jamaica, in the Bahamas, in all the Caribbean, in British Guiana and South America, everywhere. US naval bases for 50, they probably didn't last 2 months, 50 destroyers. Just to fight a moral war. Again, Britain really wasn't under attack by then. The Battle of Britain was over and Britain had won. Just for that. Just to keep Britain going when it could have surrendered. Not surrendered, it could have done a deal with Hitler, and Hitler was begging for it at the time. And no, and Britain didn't, Britain agreed to this. Anyway, that's not it, guys. That tied them over for 2 months. This is the evil of America. This is the evil of that satanic nation. It is literally the worst of the worst. It then said, "Okay, we're going to do you lend-lease." But lend-lease is actual lend-lease. You can lend, and they actually borrowed $3 trillion at that time, which is about $30 trillion now. $3 trillion. You can, for the whole war, we'll send you whatever you want, but you will have to pay it back. You can't cancel the debt. There's no way to, not pay it. And it took until 2006 to pay off this debt, right? 2006, they had to pay it off. They refused nothing. They had to pay the debt for all the war material that they got. And what was worse was France, which Britain was helping, had sent all its gold to America when it was attacked. And at the end, America goes, here you go. You can have it back in a nice, lovely twist of fate. It was France that brought down the American US dollar, the fake dollar. It was Bretton Woods system, but it was France that actually destroyed it. So thank God for them. So America said, okay, we'll take your gold and we give it back. Britain got nothing. There was no gold left. There was nothing. With Germany at the end of the war, they forgave all their debt. They owed billions and billions. They forgave all of it. With Britain, they said, you have to pay to the last penny. This is what we do. As Kissinger said, it is bad to be America's enemy. It is fatal to be America's friend. That's what happens with an evil empire. And now, today, we are seeing the same things with two countries. We have the Ukraine war and the Israel war. Now, I know most people think, oh, America is subject to the Zionists, rule them, the Zionists, you're such a bunch of idiots. America is currently burying Israel, literally burying. They forced them into a surrender agreement with Hamas. Hamas is still around, still in charge of Gaza, no problem. They forced them to lose against Iran. Iran, not 1 gram of their enriched uranium was touched. All still there, all kept. They couldn't take out their oil fields. They couldn't take out the leader, even though they had him on his sites. Not allowed. Not allowed to touch the oil fields, not allowed to touch the leader, don't touch the uranium. All still intact. All still there. Houthis, America did a ceasefire with them, special deal, you don't touch us. We don't care how many missiles you fire against Israel, and they did for many, many months afterwards, every day. This is your moral America. And now America has a base in Israel, first time ever. Not that Israel wants it, by the way. America thinks, oh, yeah, we don't want troops. Israel doesn't want any American in Israel. They put a base there to take it in control. And in about a few months, we're going to have Turkish and Qatari troops in Israel. This is so absurd. The funders, supporters, the most radical Islamists in the world, Turkey and Qatar, will be in Israel with troops on the ground. I swear to you not. This is what he's pushing. Oh, and Israel's gas reserves, he's forcing them to give it, to sell it to Egypt for pennies in order for Egypt to use their LNG facilities to liquefy them and sell them to Europe for billions and billions and billions in profit. And those gas fields have about 20 more years. So rob Israel of every single natural resource, sell it for pennies to your enemy, Egypt, who was supplying Hamas, and then they can make billions. And they're forcing them. Israel knows this. It's not like, oh, we don't know. They know this, and it's being done. Now it gets worse. Ukraine, oh my God, Ukraine. This should have been done day one. Everyone knows Ukraine wasn't going to beat Russia. It was no joke. It wasn't. Boris Johnson came. I'm not going to go into this. Everyone knows day one they should just sign the same thing, which is Putin wanted, which is no NATO. We're taking Donbass and Crimea and Luhansk and all of that. And we're taking that region. Exactly the same deal. And you can't join NATO. And we're going to have a puppet Russian president. They're going to get the same thing now. Trump is forcing them to take the same thing, but with 1 million dead and half their population fleeing. Half their population is left. They're in Poland, they're in Germany, they're all over. They're not in. They've lost half their population. They have 1 million dead. I don't know what the other casualties are. For nothing. For the same deal they could have got in February 2022. We're about to go to February 2026. So it's a 4-year war for the same thing. That is what he's forcing them to do. I mean, Israel's bad, but Ukraine is just, it's on a different level. You've lost 1 million people. The damage is just so insane. And do you think America's going to pick up the tab and pay for it? No way. That is the United Satan. They have never been an ally to everyone. They are the evil in the world. China hasn't started a war. China's never started a war. Ever. Russia it just wants Ukraine, which is their doorstep, and it's got nothing to do with the West anyway. And it was simply to tell them, you just don't join NATO. I mean, Zelensky is basically a Western coup. It was an EU coup. That's what it was a plant. The whole thing was a plant. It was Go back in history, see, Ukraine was Russian aligned. That's how it should be. And the West decided to get involved. So this is mad. This is mad. And America is forcing all their allies to pay tariffs. 15% tariff on Europe, 10% on the UK. These are your allies. And to buy US debt. And to not allow China to come in. I mean, luckily, all the governments, all the globalists, all the people that control these countries are all bribed and globalists, and so therefore they do whatever America says. But you get a real government like Hungary, they would just tell America to go screw themselves, which is what Hungary has done, and that's why it still takes Russian oil, take Russian gas, still friends with Israel, hasn't done an embargo. It knows what's right and wrong. All the other countries are just puppets of America. They all recognize Palestine because America wants that to put pressure on Israel. They're just, America is a sick, sick country. It's totally depraved. You've got China never, got involved in any wars, and America's just getting involved all over the place and just killing their allies. Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, all under the bus, all thrown under the bus, all destroyed. And now it's Israel and Ukraine's turn to be thrown under the bus. It doesn't end. And it all started with Britain, the world's biggest empire, which in basically 20 years, the peak of the British Empire, by the way, was in the 1920s, amazingly enough. Take out Ireland and you would go up to 1939, right? Until 1947 you'd even go to. So that was the peak of the British Empire, was 1947. And it was destroyed within a year, completely eviscerated. Because that's what America said. You've got to give it up. You can't have we're not going to allow you to have an empire. Get rid of it. Oh, Rhodesia, which is totally British and wants to be, but we don't care. You have to give it up. You have to throw them under the bus. Suez crisis. You own the Suez Canal. We're going to force you to lose. 1956. You have no idea how bad America is. And this Hollywood movie, and we're moral, and freedom and democracy, and it is mad that when you look at it, all these leftists were right. Essentially, they were right. I mean, the ways they go afterwards, communism and all that, is mental. We don't want that. We don't want communism. We don't want socialism. But their grasp on what America is completely correct. Very sad, sad nation. I mean, people, we have to get away. Every country has to decouple from that nation. I don't get Britain, the EU. EU was set up to fight against America, and it just folded. I've never seen anything like it. They can beat Britain down to the floor, but America, okay, 15% tariffs, yeah, sounds good. It's mad. So yeah, I don't know what to do. I think all the other countries have to align with BRICS and just defeat this evil fake empire built on debt. It doesn't sell anything, doesn't make anything, just prints dollars. It has to be enough. We have to have the multipolar world that previously existed, that China's happy with, a multipolar world. There's no one in charge, there's no big player. Everyone has their own interests, everyone cares about their own interests, and that's the way it should be. But this big bully that goes around bullying everyone, it's enough now.